The Police Service Commission has approved the suspension of an Assistant Superintendent of Police, Drambi Vandi, over the killing of a Lagos-based lawyer, Bolanle Rahim. The Police Service Commission says the suspension of a cop is with immediate effect. Vandi, who was attached to the Ajiwe police station in the Ajah area of Lagos State, had on Christmas Day shot and killed Bolanle Rahim. The cop and his team were said to have tried to stop Rahim and her family members as they drove back home from a Christmas Day church service.
Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, has promised to make the investigations and prosecution of ASP Drambi Vandi transparent. The IGP gave the assurances when he received the Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Usman Alkali Baba confirmed that preliminary investigations show that Officer Vandi was the shooter in the incident upon identification by the family members of the deceased who were present at the scene. He also promised speedy justice for the victims of recent shooting incidents in Lagos State. Meanwhile, the Lagos State government says it will provide equipment including body cameras and non-lethal weapons to curb excessive use of power and boost good police-citizens relationships.
And I assured him that this incident will be investigated, and the Attorney General of Lagos State will be availed with the case diary for him to take over prosecution from the police. What I want to add is that the incident happened in one of our crime prevention and control method. The policemen involved were on a stop and search, and this is one of the ways of checking crime and criminality. That has been identified not even by the police. He was first identified to have shot the barrister by even the sister who confronted him. And the ASP Bandi is the one that, through our investigation, confirmed to be the one that gives cover fire to the stop and search team. And he is the one that cannot account for the number of ammunitions that he was given. So by every extension, we believe he is the one.
Really to get a sense of where we are with security architecture in the state, and what we need to do. First is, of course, to condemn the very unfortunate incident, to express, the grief of the government, the people and government of Lagos State, and to say how very unfortunate, and at this period in our time, to have an incident like this, but beyond that is really how do we, ensure that incidents like this are reduced to the barest minimum. What can government do that we're not currently doing that we can do to help, the Nigerian police, the Lagos State Police Command, and how do we ensure that we have better collaboration, because we do not have any other police force.
All right, joining us now to provide some insight into the process of investigation and sanctioning of errant police personnel is former Commissioner of Police Lawrence Alobi. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight tonight. Unfortunately, you're here in these circumstances, but hopefully we can move forward from this.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, help us, walk us through the process of investigations. Yes, we're hearing from the IG that, it's going to be transparent all through the process. Nigerians would not be kept in the dark. Help us understand really when such things happen. How do you?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Like IG had said, usually investigation ought to be transparent, not because the IG is saying it, because in the sense that in the process of investigation, the aim is to establish the innocence of the suspect in line with the constitutional provision that everybody is deemed innocent until contrary is proved. And also, we also identify his culpability. Is he culpable in that offense? We look at the various totality of the factors that prevailed, and what is his action? Is it criminal? Was it intended? Like talk about that is talk about the intention and then the act itself. You know, mens rea and the actual mens rea, and then the issue of what was his intention? His act? Is it criminal or not criminal? And the process of investigation is that all those who are he as a suspect, then there's going to be a complainant or who is going to make a statement. Now the police, the family have made a complaint to the police. Please get this thing recorded, obtain statement from those who are maybe eyewitnesses or witnesses, those who are around at the scene, those who can at least provide information about what happened. And the process, the end, they will bring up a detailed information report, and then it will probably be sent to legal department to look at it, they look at it and they interpret it, and then sent to maybe to Ministry of Justice for legal advice. And at the end, if he's found culpable, of course, be charged to be, for example, this money project that the police service commission has done now, he's been suspended, and he's going to be given a query, and that query here, we're going to face a disciplinary committee, will be found guilty, and he'll be dismissed, and then thereafter maybe charged to court if he's found culpable, if the evidence before the Ministry of Justice said that he's culpable and he should be tried.
All right, so extrajudicial killings by happy trigger police officers, as we've come to know them, are nothing new. Or trigger-happy police officers, thank you, are nothing new. In fact, some statistics say over 122 extrajudicial killings have happened from January of this year till October. Right. You were in the force, and one will understand that, you know, the NSAS protests of 2020, where we saw extrajudicial killing by police officer play a major role leading to that protest, would have changed things. This particular case of Bolanle Rahim and this investigation everybody seems to be talking about, do you have any hopes that it will make a difference? There will be any difference?
First, let me also say that let me commiserate with all Nigerians to commiserate with the family of the. She's my learned colleague. I'm also a learned counsel, and we commiserate with the family, and we believe that justice will be done. But it doesn't just end with this case being investigated and he being charged to court. Like you talk about NSAS. What lesson did the police learn from the NSAS? That's a problem. Question. What lesson did they learn? Right. You see, when I was in service, after each operation, we carried what we call a post-mortem to look at how do we perform? Do we do well? What are the challenges? Where do we fail? And look at for future. And when we plan and strategize next for future, we learn from our mistakes, from the lapses we've observed. You see, what took me to FCT as Commissioner of Police was also issue of extrajudicial killing. At post 6. When a post 6 happened, then I was CP Fellow Operations. I'm the longest officer who has served as a Fellow Operations for 6 years in Force Headquarters. Nobody has ever done to serve those number of years. When this thing happened, when the post 6 happened, the committee was set up, headed by the DIG, but it didn't work. Mr. President called the IG, then said, tell Lawrence will handle the situation. That's how I became CPFCT. And then police officers were even afraid to wear uniform because nobody had one trusted police officer. So extrajudicial killing has been a problem. Now, like I said, not just prosecuting this boy, investigating the matter. Right. Look at it holistically. What are the causal factors of this insistent abuse of trigger-happy officers taking the life of innocent Nigerians? So this is not supposed to be so. Policing is all about promoting and protecting human rights. Because when you protect life and property, Constitution 33 of the Constitution provides that everyone has right to his life. Everybody. And nobody should intentionally take anybody's life without the due process of the law. Like maybe he's being charged, he's being found guilty by a court judgment, where he's being found guilty, and again maybe somebody who is being detained and he wants to escape, and maybe it's for offensive charge if convicted for above 7 years. And the police also have an authority which ought to guide all police officers. They call Force Order 237. That Force Order 237 is derived from Section 33 of the Constitution, which is the ground norm of the law of Nigeria. But then the point is that training is lacking in the police today. Training on supervision is no longer there.
What's
and again,
responsible
discipline.
for that? What really is responsible
So many
for that?
factors.
I mean, I've heard some analysts say, look, the fundamental problem is the disrespect or lack of respect for human life in Nigeria, and it's reflected also in the police and every other, you know, aspect of our lives that you want to talk about. But what exactly is responsible?
You see, experts in policing have established that the type of government in the country determines the style of framework of policing. When we had the colonial administration, there was that is rationally policing and abuse of human rights. We had the military rule by decrees and so forth. They have no respect for the rule of law. And then we're now in democracy. We ought to, our policemen need to police in conformity with democratic norms and values. And that is based on principle of democratic policing, which I've always advocated. Because what are the values of democracy? Human rights, respect for human rights, the rule of law, policing by consent, policing to meet the needs of the people. This is what it ought to be anchored on. So officers and men of Nigerian police force, so that security need to be trained and build the capacity of democratic policing. And again, emotional intelligence. You see, emotional intelligence helps you to be able to control your emotions and manage the emotions of other people. So if these two areas can be integrated in the curriculum, training curriculum of police officers, it will build, one, their confidence. It also made them know that they're not there they're not policing animals or wolves.
What about weapons handling?
It is part of the training. You know, you have to develop musketry, weapon handling, to develop that proficiency and skill in handling weapon handling. But when they want to leave police, no training is being carried out, and that's the government is responsible.
What about the recruitment process and mental status?
You know, that for everybody to be recruited, there's a procedure. You must go through a medical process. Will be found to be fit and proper as a police officer. Know what I'm saying? There are institutional problem and societal problem. The societal problem is the government itself has not been funding the police and equipping the police. You see, an untrained policeman is a threat to the society and a threat to the institution. Like this is what has happened now. The training is being neglected, and again, supervision is no longer there.
Right.
When I was in service, in fact, as area commander, we don't need to wait for the IG or commissioner of police direct to us, area commander or DPO. You need to initiate, be creative. I was area commander, I introduced training for my officers within my area command. Even when I was in force headquarters, I introduced parade and lecture in force headquarters officers in the force headquarters. I saw that it was degrading.
It's obvious that we have serious problems on our hands, but we have to thank you, Mr. Lawrence Alobi, former Commissioner of Police, for weighing in on this issue. We do appreciate your time.